news that came out today, not necessarily for Hawaii, but I mean, Hawaii hit triple digits again. That's bad news for us. We had 110 new cases today with 4 deaths. So, I mean, according to this COVID dashboard, we are at 116 on a 7-day average, 116 new cases. So I know the mayor is trying to uh, take the Halava prison inmate numbers out. That'll bring down the number because I think that was like 50 something percent on the last report. They accounted for like 50 something percent of the cases. So that's I mean I don't I kind of waffle on that. I'm not sure if that's something I'm not sure if that's something that's good to do because I mean it's data, right? The data it's data, number is number. For the tier system, again, like if he could ice if there could if they could create a bubble around the prison and there's no way that those inmates and the infected employees can get out into the community, then yeah, then you can exclude those numbers. But if inmates are coming into contact with employees, um, and the employees are out in the community, well, that I would think that that would count, and it should. So I don't know what they're gonna do. As far as I know, like he put in a request, I think yesterday for the to the governor to take the numbers out of the state count. I don't know exactly how they do that. If they are gonna do that, then that means you're gonna get a new state count minus the inmates. Well, you're gonna get two counts, right? You're gonna get the real count, right? The real count, including the inmates, and then you're gonna get the tier level count, right? And I think that's what he's concerned about is the tier level. So yeah, I mean we're over 100. So this is day two of being over 100. If this continues on for 2 weeks, we are moving in the wrong direction. We're going to move back up to tier one. So um, keeping an eye on that. Um, so the vaccinations came in. They started vaccinating hospital employees. So that's good, right? They're the ones who are at risk the most. Um, so they said there's the 80,000 number, but what I last heard was we only received like several thousand, right? Initially. So I think they're gonna continue to keep shipping the vaccines over to us. Um, but there was this article in KHON when to expect the next phases of the COVID vaccine, and I talked about that before, and I talked to that with my friends and family too. Like everybody's talking about the vaccine, and I'm like, well, it doesn't really apply to us because we are not in the first phase, right? So it says the first phase is broken into A, B, and C, and right now they're working on phase 1A. So the lieutenant governor says that 1A, he anticipates 1A to take about 6 weeks, with 1B and 1C working in parallel. So that means, they'll be vaccinating more than just the 1A people. But initially, like, probably for the first week or so, or maybe the first month, it'll just be the 1A folk because they only have like like several thousand vaccines at the moment, right? Until they get some more. So yeah, I mean, so that's not really an issue for me. My friends and family talk about it, and oh, are you gonna get the vaccine? And I'm like, well, I'm not expecting to get it until probably like late next year. I don't know. It could be as early as spring. I think they make some guesstimates about it, and I mean, and from what we're seeing, how quickly they're moving with the vaccine, the development of the vaccine was quick, right? For Pfizer to produce this and the other companies to produce this vaccine in such a short amount of time, that's amazing. But again, like once it gets into government, everything slows down, right? Because there's just so many stages it needs to go through before it actually hits the people. So, and we see that, right? Like with FEMA, whenever there's a hurricane, I mean, it just takes a long time for things to move once it hits government. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be faster. Maybe it'll be shorter. I don't, slower. I don't know. But there's estimates that it could be the third phase, which I don't know if I'm in the third. Like the vast majority are probably in the fourth phase, right? I don't. I mean, I gotta look up what the phases are and who's in it. But if you're a regular person with no health um, issues, I think you're like the last group to get it. So they're saying the third phase, and it's also broken up into different subgroups. Uh, they're talking May or June. That's like summer already next year, and that's for the third group. So like for me, I probably won't be able to get it. I don't know, until the fall maybe or the winter, like this time next year. So I'm not even thinking about the vaccine at this point. And again, it's a two shot process, right? So like the initial group of people are getting vaccinated right now. They're getting the first shot. They're gonna have to wait like 3 weeks to get the second shot, and then they'll be fully vaccinated. Um, so we kind of have to like remember like there's that 3 week window, and like whenever we start counting or measuring, we start measuring after the second shot, not the first shot. So they're talking about 70% to get herd immunity. It's kind of weird that we're talking about herd immunity again. Um, but I mean, this is, they're talking about being vaccinated. So we are in for a long haul, at least for another year, as far as social gathering and all that kind of stuff. There'll probably be a lot of restrictions, the masks, businesses will be impacted. We already know the furloughs are coming. Uh, yeah, this is not the vaccine. I'm not, to me, like the whole thing with the vaccine, everything, everybody, some people who I've talked to have mentioned like, oh yeah, when the vaccine comes, things will get back to normal. Uh, Maybe in like 5 to 7 years. I don't know. I'll go into why I think it'll take that long. Um, but I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But I mean, you got to deal with reality. So, on this article on Hawaii News. Now, this was in November. Like this was like, just less than a month ago. Uh, and again, like the mayor wants to take the prison inmate numbers out because it is preventing us from moving, you know, to tier three, right? We're stuck in tier two. We potentially could go back to tier one because of these clusters that are happening at the state prison. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get busted to play this, but like whatever.
Prisoners, if they get really sick, need hospital care, ICUs, ventilators, COVID ward. They're no different than anyone else that way, and nor should they be. We care for everybody, whether you're incarcerated or not. And so that could have an impact on our hospital system, which is why at the end of the day, they were added into the count.
Yeah. So, and to me that makes sense, right? Um, it, and I don't, again, like if they can create a bubble and the inmates don't go to Queens or Kaiser or whatever, if they stay within the prison system and the prison system has a way to isolate them from the other inmates and from workers and stuff like that, then yeah, you can take those numbers out. But I mean, they're in the community, so I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings on him taking the numbers out because again, like it's a misleading number, right? Like if they take the numbers out, like today we have 110 cases. Let's say we have 50 cases in inmates. I don't know. I'm just making that up. So you take 50 cases out, right? Well, so we have a low number, but that's not the real number, right? That's the number of people. That's the number of cases minus the inmates. So then where do you get the real number? Like, how are we going to get the real number, and which number are we going to pay attention to, right? And again, like the healthcare professionals, they'll look at one number. The business community, they'll look at you know one number. And me, as just a regular person who wants to know if I can poke my head out my window and not catch the disease, I'm gonna look at another number, right? So I kind of like which number are we gonna use? And I kind of feel like from a from a communication standpoint, like there should be there should be a clear number that everybody can use. And again, like I don't mind if they can create a bubble. uh, you have the state number, which is or you would have like the total. To me, the best way to do it is to have the total number, including the inmates, and then you'd have a tier number, right? That because again, he just wants to pull the inmate number out because of their that cluster is holding back you know the community from moving through the tier levels, right? um and then they cannot just isolate just the prisons because there's a lot of bubbles, right? Like if it's a nursing home, you could easily create a bubble around the nursing home, and that's another cluster. So, I mean, there's obviously some clusters where there's a lot of community contact, but they're, like inmates, like prisons or long-term care facilities. There's not a lot of community, contact there other than the workers. So, if the workers are coming and going, then they're in the community. If you can isolate them from the community and create a bubble, then I don't know. But then my concern is okay. You take the prisons out. Well, what about these other clusters, right? I mean, they're affecting us moving through the tier system too. So I don't know. Yeah, that I'm kind of have mixed feelings about playing with the numbers like that, and I I don't like it when especially the government uh, fudges numbers just so that they can do something they want to do, right? And I mean, we don't like it when companies do that, so we shouldn't like it when governments do that as well. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think the best thing to do is to stick with the total number. And if the mayor wants to create his own tier count, then he has to amend the tier system that he created, right? Because I think each county has their own tier system. So he would have to create his own count, and then the news would report, the statewide count and then the tier level count. Um, yeah, that's my feeling on that. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Because again, like this cluster, I believe will get control of it pretty quickly, right? Like we had the O triple C outbreak, and that was kind of large too. That was triple digits. And then it lasted, I think, I don't know, maybe a week or two, and then it got under control. So yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned about all the other clusters that may pop up. Okay, so this is kind of interesting to me. So California has broken the US record for the number of cases in a day. They, I mean, it just blows my mind. I can't even imagine. 50,000 new cases with 293 deaths. Remember that whole thing with New York? When New York was, peaking out, and we thought like that was like the plague going on over there, and just they were, I mean, they had it really bad. Well, California has it really, really bad. I mean, 50,000 cases in a day. That's crazy. And they've been in the, like 20, 30,000 leading up to today. So they're like we're talking about a huge surge. This is like surging, it's not like, oh, and a spike. This is not a spike. This is like a huge surge. Um, and that's a kind of a large number of deaths, right? It's almost 300 deaths in one day. Uh, so so that really caught my eye. That kind of blew my mind. I have friends who are in California, for personal reasons. They're not there for vacation. They're there for family, and I'm kind of concerned, right? Like they're in a hot spot. And then I get this. So they're ordering, like, and we saw this happen in New York, right? When they were peaking out. So they started ordering large amounts of body bags just in anticipation of the huge number of deaths that's going, that the state just cannot handle. So they got refrigerated trucks on standby. I don't know if remember, like, Trump sent the military medical ships to New York. He also sent one to California. I don't know if that one's still there, but I mean, they might need those ships again just to quarantine the COVID positive people who need treatment. Or if it exceeds the number of people of regular, people who need medical attention, then maybe they'll move the non-COVID patients to the ships and fill the hospitals up with the COVID patients. I don't know how they're going to do that. But that's really scary. I mean, you know, that's how serious it is, right? They're anticipating. So like yesterday, right? Tuesday is 32,000, right? Today is 50,000. That's that's a huge increase. 14-day positivity rate is 10%, almost 11%. That's nuts, right? So so that brings me to Hawaii. So this is the Safe Travels program or information, right, that we're collecting from all the travelers that are coming to Hawaii. And so I kind of, I got all the links in the video description. You guys want to take a look at it? It's kind of neat. I mean, it's, not the data is neat, but just being able to see this stuff is kind of neat. So they update this daily. I have this set for on Sunday, December 6th to today. You can see, like, everybody who got screened. It's kind of interesting. Like, it's like, I mean, it's not anywhere near the number of travelers we normally have, but it's kind of decent amount of number if you think about it, right? And this is kind of concerning. So a lot of people are still coming here for vacation, like in the midst of a pandemic and a surge that's happening in a lot of places. And I know, they've been, like, officials have been telling us, the media's been telling us, oh yeah, and I've heard it from other people too. Oh yeah, like most of the cases are community spread and not travel related. Well, how do you know? Right? I mean, it just takes one person to spread and hit, like, remember the Hawaiian Airlines had that person who went, to a training, infected a whole bunch of people, then that somebody from there went to like a gym and infected everybody in the gym, and that was like, I don't know, 20 people or something. Uh so, you got 38,000 in, like a week and a half. uh like, who cares if, like 2% or whatever, like, have COVID? That's 2%, like, more people that are spreading it in Hawaii. So, I just thought that was kind of interesting, especially with California, because California is the second largest number of people coming to Hawaii, right? Like from LAX, like almost 15,000 people in a week and a half have come from, and the week and a half, that's like when in the midst of their huge outbreak, they're coming to Hawaii. So, and Seattle is pretty bad. San Francisco, that's in California again. Uh, Dallas, Texas is going up in cases. There's San Diego. I mean, if you add up all the California airports, I mean, right, Sacramento, San Jose, that's a lot of people that are from California, who just set a record of 50,000 new cases. They're coming to Hawaii. So and I don't, I don't know what, like, how do you? Then that's scary. I mean, that should scare some people, right? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, you would think, and I don't know how you would do it, but I would think, like, if California, okay, in New York, when they were surging, the surrounding states, and even like counties, were preventing like people from the city to travel outside, right? And come into their states and their counties. So I don't, I doubt Hawaii will ever do that, but I mean, that's got to be a concern, right? I mean, 15,000 people, as opposed to like, all these other guys. It's kind of a huge number of people coming to Hawaii. Um, vast majority of them are staying at hotels. I, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That to me, that's, I'm kind of keeping an eye on that. So anyway, okay, so the COVID vaccine. Okay, everybody's talking about the COVID vaccine. So hey, look, the UK has vaccinated 130,000 people in the first week, right? That's huge. 130,000 in 1 week. Until you get down here where it says what their target is. Where is that? And I don't think they're planning on, like, vaccinating everyone, but oh, here we go. So I don't know if I can make this bigger. Can I make it bigger? Okay. So the government wants to vaccinate 25 million people. Okay. Now, I'm not a math guy, but, I mean, I learned a little bit of math, in school, in public school. So I was like, oh, okay, 130,000. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay, 25 million people. Fire up the good old Google Sheets. 25 million people, okay? Vaccinations per week if they stay at that number. I'm assuming they're going to be able to do more than that, but let's just say, because I thought that was a big number, 130,000 in 1 week. Um, it's going to take 192 weeks or 3.7 years to vaccinate 25 million people. Unless my math is wrong. I don't know. I could be doing it wrong because, math was not my strongest subject. But uh I mean, that's that should tell you something. Like this is going to last a long time. Like the whole vaccination process is going to take a long time. So, yeah, I mean, that's food for thought about the COVID thing. So that's it for my COVID report. Uh, I've been playing Deponia. It's a kind of a casual game. It came out in 2014. I thought it looked like it was a casual game. I like puzzle games. It's all it is just point and click at things. You try to solve puzzles. The game wants you to do certain things so you can progress. I thought it was going to be easy. Uh, it's not. I've already put in like 20 hours on that game, and I it's a three-part game, and I just got through the first part. Um, the great thing is that it's a super fun game. It's very well produced. It won a bunch of awards. It was on sale for like $3 on Steam, and so while I'm in quarantine, that's what I've been doing. Uh, Other than that, yeah, I just went to Zippy's the other day. I actually dined in. I probably won't be going back out to eat to dine in anytime soon. Uh, Went down to Chunwa Cam in Pearl City, and I love the bitter melon. That I didn't acquire the taste for bitter melon until I was probably in my 30s, but I love it now. And we've been just kind of taking out mostly. We've been eating in a lot and taking out, but I'm hoping that we are not going to go back up to tier one, where it's going to be more restrictive. Um, this Christmas, I don't know what this Christmas is going to be like. Um, I haven't gotten the Christmas feeling yet. I did I did sort of get it when I watched the Christmas Chronicles. I did a review of that on it's Christmas Chronicles 2. It's on Netflix. That kind of really got me, back into the Christmas feeling. But other than that, there's just not, that the hustle and bustle and the programs on television. I haven't, it's not doing it for me. So I don't know what this is gonna be like. I'm not a real big like Christmas guy. I don't decorate my house or anything or go crazy. I bought a wreath at Costco and hung that on my door, and that's pretty much it. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I'll decorate my banister. We have this fake Christmas garland thing with ribbons, and we might do that. Um, but other than that, yeah, just waiting for whatever movies come out. I'm gonna play some more video games, and just yeah, keep track on the COVID thing. So that's my report for today. Everybody, stay safe, and we'll see you at the next report.